All right, welcome to Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit on Monday, right? Who knew this would happen? No storm, dodged a bullet. Don't forget, if you like the numbers, if you like Inside the Numbers, to like the videos and to share them far and wide. All right, we're everywhere, Twitter, Getter, Truth, Locals, Rumble. What am I tongue-tied today? But the best place, of course, to follow us is right there on Locals. I'm looking at it right now. This is great. Viewership is going up on Locals for years now. I've been trying to push more people to watch on either Rumble or Locals, preferably, straight on Locals. But the more that they improve Rumble Studio, the more likely it is that we will eventually end up more so on there. But we, as of now, want to pretty much remain accessible everywhere. So, Getter is always a healthy viewership, but I do try to push more people over to Locals if possible. That is the best place, of course, to follow us. You will get more of the polling stuff early. Sometimes, obviously, on X, I'll go and I'll throw a chart that I don't even throw on Locals. But when the meaningful stuff comes out early, it will come out on Locals, such as the poll that will be out. Look, I wanted to give, and it's just being honest, I wanted to give the administration some time for this to iron out. The polling started to get pretty ugly last weekend, and it's been ugly. Look, this is an issue here before I get into all the other stuff. The issue is we're seeing a lot of people comparing apples to oranges. All right. His favorability to his approval rating, his approval rating to his vote share. All right. Polls to exit polls, polls to Fox News voter analysis or AP Votecast, which is the same thing. Right. And all of these other things, apples to oranges. The left tried to do this in order to gaslight themselves and in order to give Kamala Harris more chance than she ever had. They did this in 24. It's dishonest. It was wrong for the left to do it at the time. It's wrong for the right to do it. Listen, if you go to Big Data Poll and you go to the Trump Approval Center, you will see that we gave approval ratings retrospectively, including our polls leading up to the presidential election. When Donald Trump beat Kamala Harris, and he beat her by just under 2 points. When he beat her in the popular vote, and we had the popular vote 1/10 of a percentage point off, Donald Trump still had a retrospective approval rating of +7, 52 to 45. That's how you know, even though we're still among the most favorable poll to Donald Trump, even though this poll that's coming out his approval rating is going to be the lowest it's been in a while. But we're still among the most favorable one to him, and I'm okay being the outlier because I know how dead on we were in 24. So unless you got that close, I'm good with not being anywhere near you on approval. The president is extremely difficult to get into the 30s, and so those polls are BS. But just because he's not in the 30s does not mean it's good. So for people who are like, bro, your polls don't match your attitude, he was +7 when he beat Kamala Harris. So an apples to apples comparison shows that Donald Trump has fallen on average between 9 to 15 points per key demographic that we focus on. That is not good, even though it may not be as dramatic as a swing that you'll see in the other polls that sucked anyway and didn't predict the election correctly. But just because we don't have a 40-point swing among young voters like YouGov does, doesn't mean it's not good. It doesn't mean it's bad. It's not bad. Excuse me. Let's do double negatives here all over the place. YouGov never correctly polled the youth vote ahead of the election anyway. They never correctly polled 18 to 29-year-olds. We did. So a more modest 13-point, or among independents, 17 to 20, a more modest swing, unlike what is still not good. Which brings me to the topic of today's show. I think I'm going to handle Ted Cruz first. But this is why they have this administration badly needed something that Barack Obama had, which was a war room. And that war room has got to, and this is I don't even know, It's always better late than never. Always better late than never. I just wish they would have done this back in April. And that war room, as I suggested with Peter and Dave Viva Fry, all those months ago, somebody grabbed the clip and said, damn, People's Pundit said this back in April. This is where he called it was going to go. And now here we are. What did I say in that clip? That the administration needs a war room. They need somebody or multiple people who are not gatekept. All right. It doesn't matter whether Susie or anyone else's chief of staff wants them to talk to the president or wants them to talk to the vice president every single day that they are at the White House. And if they're not, they're in Davos, whatever. You call in, you get on the conference call. Team, what's going on today? What are the American people feeling today? Barack Obama didn't even have as cool of a one that is capable of being put together now because we didn't have a lot of the tools that we have now back then. Yet he always had a group of people whose sole job it was to make sure the president was not isolated as far as his perception of what the American people were thinking. The public opinion reality. Don't get isolated. Don't get confined. Don't get in the bubble. I need to know what everyone's saying outside the Beltway. I need to know what everyone feels and thinks about issue A, B, C, D, E, F, G outside the Beltway. And oh, by the way, I need a few suggestions about what the hell to do about it. Those people sat, even though they hated Fox News, they sat and watched it all day long. They watched MSNBC all day long. They watched CNN, CNBC, all over the place. It would actually be easier for Trump to do it now. Plus, Trump could have people who understand the internet, understand the alternative media space, understand the podcaster, environment in that space, and how much with reasonable an understanding of how much these things reasonably impact or influence or combat the mainstream media narrative. Because some people think that the mainstream media just doesn't matter anymore. That's not true. It matters. It's also not just the mainstream media, as I tweeted out over the weekend. I literally just was having a conversation trying to explain to somebody that you can't just campaign 6 months from an election. You can't just turn on all of a sudden. That's not the world we live in anymore. Democrats have constant bombardment. Narrative is all about repetition. And Democrats have private companies, entire industries, constantly bombarding the public year-round. Immediately after elections are done, win or lose, they are into the next moment. Look at Apple News, what I put up on Twitter the other day. Look at it. That is every single day. They turn on Netflix and Obama's got his boys pumping out narrative, nothing but every single day. That's all you hear. Music, this, that, Prime, Hulu, Pluto, Peacock, whatever, Apple TV. They have in-kind campaign contributions coming in 24/7, 365. And Republicans think they can just control a narrative after they've won an election and just tune out, and that's it. That's not it. And that's how they lost control of the ICE narrative. And listen, let me just say this. There are 4 public pollsters in the entire country who have conducted, I haven't even added them together. It's got hundreds of thousands of interviews. Focus groups all over the country. There are 4 pollsters who understand this issue better than anyone could even hope to comprehend. 4 of them. That's it. And I'm one of them, and there are 3 others. And outside of that, you don't know shit. So I don't know why you're talking to the president or talking like you have an idea. You don't have a fucking clue. They took too long to react to this. Too long. If they had a war room, which they need, they would have been able to react to this. Now, guys, I hate to tell Trump supporters out there, they smell blood, man. The media sharks are circling. They smell blood, and they're coming. And almost nothing that the administration can do now is going to be like a 100% right move. There is a way out. There is. But you can already see all the scumbag rhinos doing their thing. And for people who always, the Senate won't convict, bullshit. Republicans are scumbags. I don't know on what planet any of these people were living in thinking that somehow this was going to be different this time. In fact, because they never have to worry about Trump running again, they will be even scummier. All right? Speaking of which, in response to this going on, Dave McCormick is another one. Alex Preddy, the individual shot by ICE, he is a U.S. citizen. He had a lawful firearm. This is bad. This is not going to be good for the administration. There's no doubt. It's already not. And this is where you see scumbag Republicans break off, and some of it is cowardice. That's just the way it goes. But listen, people are saying, well, Rich, you're hard on them. Why are you going after senators? Well, because they have a different job. Democrats never turn on their own. Never. Joe Biden could have executed 100 people in the streets on January 21st, and they wouldn't have said shit. Nothing. It is not helpful, productive, which is a lesson they learned a long time ago. It is not helpful, nor is it productive. It doesn't get you any brownie points with the voters when you turn on your own. It's the job of the lawmakers, the electeds, to act as a shield around the president. The agenda is the most important thing. That's how you're, and for those of you on the right who think you're more moral or something, you're holier than thou, wake up. Your enemy doesn't give a crap about any of that. The agenda is number one to them, and that is all that matters. And the only way you have a prayer of defeating them is if you come to understand that and you act accordingly. Now, the job of a pollster, a public pollster, or an advisor, a political analyst, is a totally different job. That person's job is to say, hey, you're effing up. Right the shit. Here's the unvarnished truth. Adjust. But these people, these scumbags, it's a totally different story. And for people who don't know who it is, I mean, it's unbelievable who's in the top left over there. That, of course, is Dave McCormick. Dave McCormick from the state of Pennsylvania. Let me just say this. In some of these so-called deep red states that we love to pretend are like Republican, a lot of them being in the plains or mountain region states, okay? Being a rhino may be able to buy you a little bit more time, all right? But it will not save you. Being a turncoat doesn't matter what it is. Look, January 21st was sold to the public as an insurrection. It did nobody any favors to turn on Donald Trump, like, by the way, Lindsey Graham did. And that's the only fault or blame you can throw on the president here, is that he has yet to learn. He has a Nixon complex. He wants to be liked by all the wrong people, and he supports and endorses these scumbags over and over and over again. One of them that he endorsed and wholeheartedly supported is in the top left corner. His name is Dave McCormick, and he's from the great state of Pennsylvania. You may remember Sean Parnell and I on Savage Wednesdays on Battleground Live. Sean personally knew him. Sean worked his butt off to do an incredible get out the vote operation in the state of Pennsylvania. And guess what? While I applaud all of them who did that work, including Sean, who I talk to about this all the time because of our mutual understanding and mutual belief that Republicans could not win elections in 10 hours after Democrats spent 10 days or more doing the heavy work of getting their voters to the polls. Well, I applaud him for that. It is very clear, crystal clear, that Dave McCormick had zero chance of winning the U.S. Senate seat in the state of Pennsylvania if Donald Trump was not on the ballot. Donald Trump easily won the state of Pennsylvania. It was not particularly close, about 2 points or so. It may sound close, but in Pennsylvania, it really wasn't. Donald Trump carried Erie County, he carried Northampton County, and he carried Bucks County. You can't win the state of Pennsylvania in a typical election if you do not carry either 2 or 3 of those swing counties. Dave McCormick lost Northampton. Dave McCormick lost Bucks. Dave McCormick only won because Donald Trump was on the ballot and squeezed so much blood out of the rural and conservative T parts of the state and Appalachia parts of the state, and because he did moderately better in his home county, which, by the way, Allegheny, I don't even think he would have done that well without Donald Trump. Again, here's a perfect example. Donald Trump is beating somebody in their own home county. He wouldn't have done that well in his own home county if Donald Trump was not on the ballot. And here he is turning on Donald Trump, and he wants an investigation into Alex Preddy's death. Dave McCormick, who has been quiet as shit over any misuses of power or abuses of power from the FBI, an agency that committed not 1 but 2 attempts at sedition against the duly elected president of the United States, because of Dave McCormick, who owes his entire seat to Donald Trump. Democrats are likely to gut DHS and impeach Kristi Noem before a single FBI agent is held accountable for either one of those coup attempts. You can't win as a party if you're that unserious against an enemy as serious as the Democratic Party. Bottom left corner, Tom Tillis, my own senator now. A scumbag who, this is why everyone who attacked Marjorie Taylor Greene for not finishing out her term was wrong. When someone announces they retire, the other side of that argument, well, you owed the voter a term and now you're leaving and that's not right. Really? If Marjorie Taylor Greene would have stayed, it probably would have been good for MAGA. But there's another side to that argument, and here we have it in Tom Tillis, who, by the way, has not won the state of North Carolina at any time by the margin that Donald Trump has now 2 times won it by. He knows he's cooked, opposing nominees and being one of the senators that attempted to blackmail Donald Trump for the big beautiful bill if he didn't do something in Iran, announces, because he knows he's cooked, announces he is retiring, and here is the other and the danger. Here we have a scumbag piece of shit who knows that he will never have to face voters again, or the consequences of his actions will never be judged by the voter again. And now he is free to be a total bitch for the lobbyist and K Street. He can just sit there and wreck your life. And he's fine. Because once he gets out of that seat now, folks, he will go and get a job making millions and millions and millions of dollars from the same lobbyist because he's friends with half of the, we're mirrored, because he's friends with half of the pieces of shit in that photo. So tell me, would it be better if Tom Tillis would have left? Because they're losing that seat anyway. Michelle Morrow, by the way, before I move on really quickly, Michelle Morrow was, listen, the left hated this woman. She is fire for the base. One of the biggest problems with Michael Whatley in the polling is that he's a dud. No, but he inspires nobody. I'm sorry. He's a very nice guy, but let's just call a spade a spade. Michael Whatley did not even want to run. He doesn't even want to be a senator. Donald Trump asked him to be, and he said, all right, sir, I'll do it, because nobody else would do it, because Laura didn't want to run. Morrow was thinking of running, but she said, you know what, for the good of the party, and there's also what's his name in the primary. I mean, bro, that's how much of an impact you're making. I don't even know your name. I know your name. I just forgot it. You're forgettable, bro. Whatley's got all the money. All you're doing is splitting the vote. Anyway, she's sitting back. The whole state knows about the poll that I did in North Carolina, which came out before the tip poll. He's getting thrashed. He's getting crushed. They're going to lose that seat. 100%. We have never had a lead that big in North Carolina. While it is true, and my reply to some of the replies I got on social media, while it is true that there have been many cycles where in North Carolina, the pollsters had 8 to 12 point leads in early polling for the Democrat, and then the Republican went on to win. That's absolutely true, including with Tillis over here. Cunningham. I think he had one of the polls, he had a lead of like 11 to 12 points or something like that. And Tillis went on to beat him in 20. Kay Hagan, when he ran against her, she was up 6-8 points, and then he wound up edging her out by about 2 points. Here's the thing, though. Not with us. Kay Hagan never had a huge lead over Tom Tillis. She never had bigger than a 4-point lead. Same thing goes for 2020. In fact, with the exception of one poll, we actually had Tillis ahead by a very small amount the entire cycle, as we did with Donald Trump. Both of them were winning by about 1 to 2 points, which is at the end of the day, but it was a solid 2 points. At the end of the day, that's what happened. So not in our polling. And in our polling right now, Roy Cooper is stomping Michael Whatley by 8 points, 48 to 40. So Morrow sees these disgusting polls and she says, I have no choice. I'm going to. Like, what harm can it do? Like, they threw millions of dollars at this woman for a statewide superintendent race because they hated her, and she beat them like a drum. And she barely had any money. She excites the base. Whatley doesn't. So, we'll see if she can raise money and stuff, but it is like at least a prospect of motivating the Republican base because I'm sorry. I mean, look, Whatley was a good chairman of the state party, but that does not make you a good candidate. He's not a good candidate. He's going to raise money because he's got Trump's endorsement. And he knows people. He's got a big Rolodex. But that doesn't inspire people. Anyway, so here we have it. This never would have happened if the White House adjusted accordingly. Now, I don't know if I just want to sit here, guys, and start giving advice. I honestly don't really want to do that. But the problem with what's going on with ICE right now is that, it's because I'm looking at some of these replies, like people, are we supposed to stop the mass deportation? Guys, you're not getting mass deportations. You're getting massive political damage from simply attempting to remove criminals. Now, JD and the president did very good press conference. And the Vice President Vance, JD, the Vice President Vance had a stop, and his messaging very clearly started to take on what needed to be, some things that needed to be said. But ICE itself, the procedures, what's being done, I don't want to rant on and on. They know, the White House knows, like, this is what you need to do. They simply decided not to do it. And that's on them. Right. I mean, look, I love you, Poso. Exactly. Like, this is basic shit. And they took too long to react. It's got a message. And they should have been listening to people from the very beginning. If they had a war room, they could have avoided all of this stuff. Really, they could have. Here's how JD, I'm going to play 2 clips real quick. Here's how JD responded to it. It's good. It's very good. But again, remember, when you're behind on the narrative, when you take too long to respond, it's going to take that much more repetition, that much more discipline in your message to undo the damage that has been done. And believe me, the damage over all of this with ICE is bad. It's bad.
Focused on Minneapolis because that's where we have the highest concentration of people who have violated our immigration laws, and that's also, frankly, where we see the most assault of our law enforcement officers. I mean, our plan is very simple. If you assault a federal law enforcement officer, we're going to do everything that we can to put you in prison. It's very simple. And most of these protesters, as much as I may disagree with their politics, most of them have been peaceful, but a lot of them have not been peaceful. And if you go and storm a church, if you go and insult a federal law enforcement officer, we're going to try very hard. We're going to use every resource of the federal government to put you in prison. Respect people's rights. Respect people's rights to worship. Respect people's rights to do their job without being assaulted. If you follow that basic principle, the Trump administration is going to do everything that we can to protect your rights. But if you go after somebody, if you assault somebody, if you make a 9-year-old girl cry because you walked into her church and harassed her, we're going to go after you with every single tool that we have.
Very good. Very good. That was on the 22nd, 4 days ago. And what happened? And I have one more clip I'm going to play, but what happened in between, I got to tell you guys, this shoot with Preddy's not good. It's not a good shoot. It's not a good shoot. Good, the good shooting, that was a good, no offense, no pun intended. That was a good shoot. She attempted to use a deadly weapon, which a car is, to injure or kill an ICE agent, a federal law enforcement officer, and he defended himself. An officer who 6 months ago had been dragged 300 feet by a car until he had internal bleeding. But this one is a different story. And not for nothing, but they never should have been there without field control or whatever. There's many different terms you want to call it. When the FBI goes to arrest somebody, folks, let's say they're serving a warrant, they build in a case on a drug dealer, and they're going to arrest a drug dealer. No one's getting on that block. No one's getting anywhere near that arrest operation. It's not happening. ICE does not have environmental control when they are effecting arrests. They don't. The truth is, half the FBI is doing shit they shouldn't be doing anyway. So if local law enforcement is not going to help you, arrest them for obstruction. Did we forget what happened with Governor Brewer, the former Republican governor of Arizona, when she refused to obey Barack Obama on immigration? And she said, nope, Arizona's border will remain closed. We'll do it our damn selves. Do you guys remember that? It's amazing how fast people forget stuff. They were going to toss Jan Brewer in jail and throw away the key. When people who are subject to the supremacy clause do not recognize the law of the land, they go to jail. And tell the story while you're building your case. Because honestly, JD, if you would have scooped up Fry and threw his ass in jail, then when this shooting happened, all the noise would have been about that. Or at least would have helped John. Would it have been bad press? Yeah, sure. Not as bad as an ICE agent emptying half of the damn magazine into somebody who had every right to carry a weapon and didn't even draw it on them. So I'm sorry, a bad shoot's a bad shoot, guys. This is a bad shoot. It is. And they defended it. Instead, they should have been defending their actions, arresting a lawless mayor or a lawless governor with ties to these organizations who are doing this. You think they're just coming up with this out of nowhere? They're just somehow finding out where these ICE operations are going? No. ICE tells local authorities where they are effecting these arrests, and these pieces of shit are telling their activist friends for money. And the reason you'll never get any meaningful disclosure about the people behind these organizations, who's bankrupting these organizations, is because there are right-wing donors who have been giving to these organizations. People who you think are your friends, and they are not. Bill Ackman has been funding illegal immigrant activist organizations for years. And then he goes on and whines about the election of Zohran Mamdani in New York City. People like him have been bankrolling this shit for years. That's why they'll never tell you. Because if they tell you about the left-wing donors, they got to tell you about their own. Let me ask you something, guys. If you're one of these so-called right-wing donors and you're dying for Donald Trump to pass an amnesty, an ICE scandal would go a long way to do that, wouldn't it? Open your eyes. Wake up. That's another reason why the right is losing to the left, because the left is pure in their intentions and their motives, and the agenda comes first before anything else, and the right is filled with traitors. Traitors! Bill Cassidy. The margin Donald Trump won the state of Louisiana. Do you think you would ever see a blue state senator turn on a Democratic president like that, especially if they were from a D plus 20 or a D plus 30 state? No chance. By the way, Dave McCormick, that kind of shit may help you for a little bit in those rhino states like Utah for a little bit, but it doesn't help you in Trump-only states. That includes Midwest through the Mid-Atlantic, your state being the most pivotal Trump only state of them all. So kissing ass isn't going to help you. All right, here's the second one from JD. Here's what else he said.
Talk about lowering the temperature. Those are the two things that we want those local authorities to do. Help us find sex offenders and get them out of their community. And again, this is bonkers. Think about this. If you've got a neighbor who's a sex offender and somebody wants to go and take that person away, I'm going to raise my hand and say, yes, please, get that person away from my children. What is wrong with Minneapolis authorities? They so hate the idea of enforcing immigration laws that they're telling their people not to get sex offenders out of their community. It's crazy, and it's why we see so much chaos in Minneapolis, but not elsewhere.
Right. And this is all very good. This is good. But the American people don't really understand all of this yet. That's not fully part of the narrative. It's not. They don't understand the connection between actual elected Democrats, Democratic leaders, and these groups of criminals. I mean, one could go as far as to say terrorist, especially since this group is, of course, designated as a terrorist organization. They're not aware of this yet. They're about aware of it as they were that Kamala Harris and her organization were intimately involved with bailing out the protesters in Minneapolis who were burning federal buildings to the ground. In Portland too, in Seattle, they just didn't know. The Trump campaign in 2020 did not do a good job communicating that. And one of the best ways that you could effectively communicate that is by arresting one of these sons of bitches. When the entire media complex is up in arms, I can't believe it. When they're up in arms about it, you can explain to the American public at that time why you arrested them. They are aiding and abetting activities and terrorist they are aiding and abetting these criminals, and they're doing so by conspiring with these terrorists and terrorist organizations. All right, and here's what the president said in response to this. Here's what they're doing now. This is not the right call. I'm telling you right now, you may, as a Trump supporter, love Tom Homan. This is the wrong call. Tom Homan, of course, is controversial at best. Democrats have been claiming for 6 months they have a tape of Tom Homan taking a bribe. This is not the right course of action. But here's what he said. I am sending Tom Homan to Minnesota tonight. And by the way, this wouldn't even be necessary if you spent less time fucking your subordinates and more time actually managing your agency. You know who I'm talking to. He has not been involved in that area, but knows and likes many of the people there. Tom is tough but fair and will report directly to me. Separately, a major investigation is going on with respect to the massive $20 billion plus welfare fraud that has taken place in Minnesota. And this is the president trying to spin the narrative back. Remember, they had the narrative on their side in Minnesota. They squandered it by not listening. Again, I'm not going to go through all of this. I tweeted some of it. They have it's I don't even know, 100 and something page report, guys. They have been told this is what is the problem. Here is exactly what needs to be done. This is how we would suggest you do it. And now they're starting to move a little bit on the edges. It's too much not done, too late. And I always do say it's better late than never. I just would say at this moment, moderate or temper your expectations about how much these adjustments will really impact this entire narrative because you took so long to react. And they could have gotten in front of it if they would have reacted in November. Anyway, and it is at least partially responsible for the violent organized protests going on in the streets. Oh, without a doubt. I mean, look, people who are in this game, you know what they're doing. They're doing this for two reasons. One, it kills two birds with one stone, frankly. You get rid of ICE, you stop the ability of the Republican administration to remove the people who should not be here, which Democrats count on giving birth to anchor babies who 15, 20 years from now will actually be voting for them. That's number one. And number two is you can't remove people in these communities who Democrats, white liberals, are getting rich off of with all of these scams. You think these communities figured out how to put together these massive fraud scams? The Hasidic communities, they're doing work. So sure, absolutely, they're bright. I'm just going to say it. They're smart. And they've been here a while. But you think, I'm not saying these people aren't smart. They don't know the system enough. White liberals taught them how to defraud you, and the money is going in their pockets. Additionally, the DOJ and Congress are looking at Congresswoman, in quotes, Ilhan Omar, who left Somalia with nothing, is now reportedly worth more than $44 million. Time will tell all. Thank you for attention to this matter, Donald J. Trump. Yeah, I mean, look, as far as I understood it, they had the goods on Omar a while ago, going on like 2.5 months ago. Nothing happened. And that's a big part of this administration. There's a lot of talk, a lot less action. All right. Ilhan Omar is the daughter of a lieutenant colonel in the death squad army from Somalia. Okay. Like, this is unbelievable. Oh, there's no direct evidence that he ran the death squads. You don't rise through the ranks in combat roles unless you actually do the dirty work. That is the way it is in the United States military. It's the way it is in every military in the world. You are promoted quickly when you are in combat. They were never in combat. They just killed civilians. And when you're okay with pulling the trigger and cutting the breasts off of women, you get promoted. She is the daughter of death squad dealer. You have got to be kidding me. You can't make an effective narrative about that? 2:38. Let's take a 30-second break. I need some water. Don't forget, you're watching Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit. If you like the videos, to like them and to share them far and wide. Funny thing, I was in Best Buy the other day, and you know those refrigerators that have like the panels on them? Samsung makes them. Then you can watch YouTube and listen to music. Guess what was on? Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit. I have to ask my son what episode it was. If I went to YouTube right now, I could probably look at it was actually a good episode. Let's get the hell out of here. I was, no way. It was actually kind of cool to see. And I took a picture of it. Let me see if I can find. Anyway, yeah, don't forget, if you like the videos, to like them, to share them far and wide. We took a funny picture of my son going, and then I had a funny face when I was doing it. Okay, the title is Special Episode, Can Americans Handle Disclosure? It was about disclosure, alien disclosure. Which we had run the poll with. And the answer to that question is yes. Americans can handle, if the president wants to come out tomorrow and say we're not alone in the universe, Americans absolutely could handle it. All right. So that's the short answer of that. But you should go watch that video if you haven't already. Okay. Real quick before the 30-second break, don't forget to go, if you haven't in a while, please go to bigdatapoll.com. If you have contributed to the public polling project in the past, go to your donor dashboard and make sure, here it is. I'm going to put it up on the screen right now. Okay. Where are you? Didn't I just put it up? What the ever-loving hell? Where is it? Oh, here it is. Add a stage. All right. If you have contributed, go here to the public polling project, go to the drop down. There's donor dashboard, donor history. There are a few. The reason I'm saying this is because it doesn't matter if it's a small quantity or a big quantity. However, there are some people with big quantity reoccurring subscriptions. It is a tremendous pain in the butt for us to give refunds. So make sure, if you have contributed, you didn't, if you wanted to give a recurring, fine. But go and make sure that you didn't check the box for reoccurring and that you're not getting charged. Also, if you did, and that's what you wanted to do, make sure you're doing it to the right campaign, because right now the other campaign's not being funded. Prior campaigns that were not fully funded are getting reoccurring subscriptions to them. We can't do all of this on our end. You guys got to do it. So go ahead and make sure that that is the case. All right. And I'm just going to repeat this every episode because I got to make sure that it becomes a thing. All right. If you are in an old campaign and you want a reoccurring subscription, and that's okay, then what you should definitely do is cancel it and then do it again. All right. And go to the new one. I guess the new numbers have not been updated in this chart. They should be. I did tweet that out. I don't know if everyone has seen it. I don't know if everyone on Locals has seen it. I'll upload the chart, but you will see a Jaws-like mouth open on that chart when we update the poll. Like I said, I was trying to see if some of this would iron out. I know that Mark Rasmussen tweeted that, their numbers were bouncing back for Donald Trump. We're probably that is not. We will have probably the worst number of his administration. Yeah, it is. It will be. Yeah, it will be. Maybe not. Close. Very. I think it is. I have it logged already. I don't know why it's not showing live. Maybe I didn't hit save and republish or something, but I'll go back and do it. I think it is, and I think it's a second term low. I believe it is. I just don't twist my arm on that, but it definitely got worsened considerably. It's about a 14 plus point swing from his approval in the final poll for the 24 election, which again, I got to tell you guys, he may have won. Vote share is not approval. His approval margin was significantly more than his lead over Kamala Harris. Apples to oranges. Compare apples to apples and be intellectually honest with yourself. All right, we'll be back in 30 seconds. Stay right there. Was cute. Made me feel like I wanted to take a little nap or something, little nappy poo. All right. This is just, I told you this guy was a two-faced. I don't, if you've been watching Inside the Numbers for years, you even heard private stories of me blowing Ted Cruz up because he would be at a private donor function, whether it was at a place where they were all gathering or it was in somebody's living room, which donors will often do. And I have told you about this guy's two-faced statements about Donald Trump in the past. This one irks me particularly for several reasons. One is plain and simple that Ted Cruz would have lost to Beto O'Rourke in 2018. Big bad Beto. Mr. I'm Irish and I'm pretending to be Hispanic, Beto O'Rourke. Okay. He would have lost to Beto O'Rourke. He wouldn't even be a United States Senator right now if MAGA did not bail him out in 2018. He then had the good fortune of running on the same ticket for re-election as Donald Trump, who stomped it in his state in 2024. Without Donald Trump, Ted Cruz would never have won by that margin. The fact of the matter is, Ted Cruz's margins have been fake since he first won in the Tea Party movement. He has been unable to connect with any significant coalition in the state of Texas. He was saved by MAGA voters who were recent movers against Beto O'Rourke. If it was up to native Texans or the Anglo vote, he would have been cooked in 2018. And then this guy runs, fills his coffers with the donations of foreign governments and people who are more interested in the affairs of foreign governments, a particular foreign government, Israel. And he has the audacity to trash Donald Trump and J.D. Vance behind their backs to these donors every single chance he gets. You may have seen an Axios report. Here's the cover of their little expose. They have audio tapes of Ted Cruz trashing Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, calling J.D. Vance names, ridiculing Trump, making fun of his tariff policy. By the way, the funniest thing about this is that what Ted Cruz says about Trump's tariff policy never came to fruition, that it was going to lead to skyrocketing inflation and that Donald Trump would lose the majorities because of it. In fact, this is now becoming a pattern. We even did a show on this. All of these America Last, Israel First voices who are the people, the very people responsible for derailing Donald Trump's domestic agenda last spring are the reason that Republicans lost their lead on the generic ballot, and Trump allowing himself to be derailed like this, they are the reason for why his approval rating is underwater and has never come back. Briefly, I'm not going to do this again, all over again, but here is the approval chart. You can see crystal clear, clear as day. All of the data suggests this is true. I cannot believe that we are still having this conversation. What's going on is that these people are looking for someone else to blame because they know that if Republicans get their asses kicked, here it is. Let me pull this down and I'll give you the more accurate chart. If Republicans get their asses kicked in November, and if this delusion, by the way, keeps up, Ted Cruz won't even be in the majority next year. See, Republicans have this false sense of security that the Senate is secure. It is not. I don't care what the odds are. I don't care what the betting markets say. John Husted is in a fight of his life in Ohio because Ohio is only very red for Donald Trump and other populists. Iowa, the internal polling is dead even. Oh no, yup, it is. Iowa swung hard as hell against Republicans in 2018, or have they forgotten? In Alaska, Mary Peltola is ahead of Dan Sullivan. If it makes a difference to the majority when the votes are counted and it comes in tied, and J.D. Vance is going to be the tiebreaker in the U.S. Senate going forward in 2027, guess what? Lisa Murkowski has every intention of leaving the Republican Party, caucusing with Democrats as an independent. And she will spend the next 2 years of Donald Trump's administration, if he makes it, because scumbags like this will vote to impeach him. She will spend, by the way, there she is. In fact, there she is, top right corner. She will spend the next 2 years making his administration a living hell. That's the plan. So Republicans better wake up and take their heads out of their ass. Even Ron DeSantis is even worried about Florida. I'm not kidding. Somebody doesn't believe me, they can go ask the governor. One thing I think he will be honest about is that. Anyway, the evidence is crystal clear. The Trump agenda was rocking. They held their lead on the generic ballot. His approval rating was surprisingly resolute until they entered the picture and until he let them. And this is where he does bear the blame. Ultimately, he's the president. He could run against them if he wanted to. He could destroy every single one of their careers. But he's got this Nixon complex and he wants to be liked by everybody, which I thought was a lesson he had learned from the first administration, but I guess not. Is the Democrat whisperer Lindsey Graham helping you with any of these people, Mr. President? What about that, Chris? All that Miriam Adelson money being used to attack Thomas Massie, who's going to beat you anyway? The president's numbers in that district have cratered like 25 points. Anyway, back to the chart. All the evidence shows crystal clear that once Trump allowed these America Last, Israel First senators, because they played a huge role, including Tom Tillis, Lindsey Graham, and Ted Cruz. They played a huge role in derailing the domestic and making sure that Israel got what they wanted. After that, the message has been effed. And you could see how it started in March. Why? What was going on there? Well, the Gaza ceasefire was coming to an end. It got very muddled. The base was asking about the Epstein files. What happened to that? What happened to that? But of course, they couldn't release the Epstein files then. We all know why. How much support do you think there would be for a strike against Iran if all of those files came out? Now they have Bill Barr, ladies and gentlemen, Bill Bush Barr writing op-eds in the Wall Street Journal defending Pam Bondi and why she can't release the Epstein files and comply with the law. Give me a break. Because they haven't gotten their massive military strike against the regime in Tehran yet. That's why. And that's only because of Donald Trump, by the way, being less accepting of the idea there will be a large number of Israeli casualties in a counterattack. Bibi Netanyahu was perfectly willing to sacrifice a good number of his own people if it meant getting rid of it. To Benjamin Netanyahu, that was okay. Don't mistake it. And tell your boomer friends who watch Fox News and get to cheerlead for Bibi Netanyahu all day, this guy is like, there's something wrong with him. Anyway, we can see on the chart, I should really look this way. I'm like feeling like a weatherman over here because it's not mirrored. That's when he bombs Iran. You can see in July, right? The numbers start to get bad after that in July. It never does right the ship. He looks like he may right the ship a little bit. He has a meltdown over the Epstein situation, tells people he doesn't want their support anymore. We start running right around that time the White House focus tracker, which the president's pollster stole, by the way. You're like 4 months too late, Tony. Too late. We start running the tracker poll, which, by the way, here's the new numbers. This is the updated new number. And you can overlay this, guys. Although those dates need to be changed, those custom dates. But you can see the first of the year. Oh, no, there it is. Starts. It's right. It's right. You can actually overlay it, and you will see in periods when it tightens a little bit, it looks like maybe Donald Trump's going to get a little bit better here. In December, Donald Trump did get a bump. I do need to address this because so many people are cherry picking stuff, and I don't like my polls being misused for narrative. Donald Trump did get a modest bump. We called it like a Christmas bump, holiday bump. And it was like -3, -4. It was not typical for that time. Typical was -5 to -7. He got a little bump. And now we're back out to where we are, which is going to be the worst, roughly the worst. I was trying to give, look, I'm being real here. I was seeing if that was noise and whether, if we gave it a little bit more time, would it recover? That's what we were doing. By the way, Tel Aviv Ted, here's where you are. And this actually is going to be worse. I took this, and this is of likely Republican voters for 2028 nomination voters. Don't be surprised if Vance is closer to like 48, okay? Because we're going to start to tighten the likely voter screen a little bit more. Throw out the trash. We did add a couple of, I don't want to tell you. Those are secret sauces, all right? That's secret sauce stuff. We're always, every election, a pollster should always go back and say, even if you did really well, like we did, should always go back and say, okay, where did we fall short here? It's driving me nuts. The North Carolina poll, that final poll, is driving me crazy. We had Trump's vote share on the nose, and then we were 0.6 too low for Kamala Harris. 0.6. And it was those damn people, those damn responses, that it would have got us closer. Anyway, I'm assuming this is probably, even with all of the beating that JD is taking, he's actually going to tick up a few points from the last nomination poll we did. Marco Rubio, who everybody said was skyrocketing. Nope, he's not. Actually, Kennedy tiny leapfrogged him this time. Ron DeSantis will be roughly 9%, as where he was before. Unsure will be in second place with 14%. And Tel Aviv Ted can't crack 4. Again, it's probably because people would rather their senators represent them instead of foreign nations. Who would have known? A novel concept. And people like Ted and others, we all know who they are trying to preemptively blame the very people who opposed derailing the domestic agenda for the losses they expect to incur in the midterms. When it is very clear from all of the data that it was the America last, Israel first crowd that are to blame. Shutting down the government, the longest government shutdown ever, they didn't do shit. Holding the BBB hostage, they could have gotten the BBB done and moved on to more domestic stuff. Instead, they held it hostage until they got what they thought was going to be meaningful action in the Middle East. And then after that was done, they just shut down the government and they did nothing. They did nothing. Now, whether you think, well, it's good. The best government's the one that does the least. Right, okay, Johnny Appleseed. People have problems. You're running around with your freaking pocket constitution. People have problems, and they wanted them addressed. No meaningful legislation to scale back or dismantle the administrative state where it really counts. The Justice Department, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. No dealing with a single proposal, not that Barnes, I, and others didn't give to them, about how to deal with all of these corrupt justices and all of these corrupt jurisdictions. All of these freaking turds are finding out now what a massive problem that was. You're not getting accountability. That's not happening because Republicans didn't do anything meaningful. No judges impeached, no reformations, nothing. Corny asses want to sell the blue slip situation because that's power to them for rent seekers. They don't even want to give that up so more U.S. attorneys can get in there and do the work and bring the cases. They're scumbags. They chose rent seekers over you. Rent seekers over accountability. You will never see Democrats do that. They will pick the agenda even if it goes against some of their donors, which, by the way, the Affordable Care Act did. They sacrificed it all. They couldn't give two shits less whether they lost the House or the Senate because they knew Republicans were cowards and they were chumps and they were corrupt and they would never repeal the Affordable Care Act. They took a huge step forward and change the very nature of the relationship between the individual and the state. Republicans have picked their nose. That's about it. So let's get to some of the comments because it is getting a little late. It's a Monday. I hope you guys stayed safe during this storm, by the way. Like I said in the beginning of the show, we dodged a lot of it and got very lucky. I hope you guys did too. Oh my God, here's a comment. Hope for better. Trump isn't a lame duck. He's a limp duck. Oh, man. Wow. Burn. Guys, I mean, that sounds like a lot of the elaboration comments we did. Ooh, that's something. Yeah, people are mad. They're just like, they're mad at Trump for not, I mean, look, people are still giving Trump himself a lot of grace. But they're mad at Trump for not doing more. Like, look, you can't bring Republicans along, you go after them. They funded the refugee program, guys. Unbelievable. 50 of the 70 who voted with Democrats to cast down the Massey Amendment are Donald Trump endorsees. 51, I think, or 52. I went back and looked. I think it was 52, actually. They want Trump to destroy it. They don't want him to like be in the club. And that's what he's doing. And the only ones benefiting from this, I'll tell you right now, when it comes to him and his endorsees, about 3 people, main people, and then they have their crowd around them, of course, who are dipping into the cookie jar, but 3 main people, their businesses, their organizations benefit from these endorsements. You will not find a Trump endorsee who doesn't have the same advisor, PAC advisor, maybe, They got the exclusive rights to run the PAC for them, or they're just on their GC or something, pollster, and what will be a lobbyist. It's disgusting. That is not what people expected from Donald Trump. Sorry, it's just not. Let's go to YouTube for the next one, then we'll go back to locals. I can't take the retardation of this entire administration anymore. All they know how to do is fold. I really think I can only support Bannon in 28. Wow. You know, Ed, I got told that. What was it? Yesterday? I got told that yesterday during one of the interviews that I jumped on. He said, look, I like JD, but I really think I got to vote for Bannon in 28 if he's serious about running. I think I got to do it just to send a message. Even if he loses, he don't care. People laugh at Bannon's, because he's running and he doesn't expect to win. People laugh at it, but he's running to teach Republicans a lesson, and he's trying to do what Ross Perot did, only with some degree of effectiveness. Ideas, not money. Rich, question: what issues should a MAGA precinct chair poll for the GOP primary? Okay, that's a little tough. It depends how big your precinct is. It depends where you are. But we are polling a series of Republican primaries. I don't know how much I'll be able to share with you guys. I have to get some stuff actually too. Well, never mind. But I hope to share some stuff with you guys. And what we are noticing is that a huge percentage of the Republican primary electorate does want candidates who, like 70%, guys, in most of these places, say they want someone who will pursue the Epstein files in this situation. It's like unbelievable. Inflation is a huge deal. And the domestic economy is huge. It's a huge deal. But accountability is a really big thing. You got Republicans even worried about health care in this cycle, which is terrifying. That screams of crossover support to me. Trump has addressed that. He's doing what he can to address, but what he's not doing is he's not running against the scumbag rhinos in Congress. And this is why, for people who aren't noobs in this game, I told you guys he cannot do those strikes on Iran and then have the shutdown. And you guys think he's going to come back in the new year. There's 3 years left. There aren't 3 years left. That's not how the government of the United States works. And we had a bunch of newbie people who did not understand that. The first year must be all domestic, all domestic. Otherwise, you get sidelined. You lose your majorities. In the second year, in an election year, they are not going to vote on anything controversial whatsoever. It's not going to happen. And all of these noobs, you need to unfollow them on Twitter. I'm telling you, I'm taking all this blowback, people on Twitter. You were all wrong. You were all wrong because you don't know what you're talking about. You tweet your thoughts and you think they're valuable to people, and you're like grifting them out of a Twitter subscription. You don't know shit. You can't tell your asshole from a hole in the ground. You've never been in this game before. You have no idea how the town works. I don't even know why you were talking. And again, unless you are one of the four of us who know about public opinion, about ICE and all of this, no influencer, no nothing should be offering their opinion at all. They don't know. Immigration is probably one thing. I guarantee you, ideas. Go ask people in your precinct, and you're going to be shocked how many people are going to tell you, I think ICE might be going a little too far. Like MAGA on ICE is... These are the same people who are mad, and I brought this up on Twitter today. These are the same people who are mad about Ruby Ridge, about Waco, Texas. You can't expect them, because they like Donald Trump, to just look at that video and say it's okay. These are Second Amendment proponents, supporters, defenders. If not for the Second Amendment, then it doesn't matter about the rest. That's who you're asking to just turn a blind eye. Shit, whatever. They're not okay with this. Otherwise, you're going to see a lot more like Ed, who just wrote what he wrote about that. And I'll be honest with you, Ed. I think I'm personally, and everybody here knows, I think it's pretty obvious, fairly obvious. Everyone deep respect for the vice president. Deep respect. But it's not, and I'm not even saying it's his fault. There's only so much he can do as the vice president. But if this shit continues, I'm going to have to vote for Bannon just to send a message. Like, you can't do this, like, I'm going to have to add Bannon to the Republican primary question because I do know he's running just to send a message, just to hurt them. They need to be hurt. Although, again, 100% JD is winning this thing by right now. There's this chart up on the screen. JD's winning this thing by a margin. Even Trump didn't have this early. So, I'm just saying, like, they're going to have to be punished before they learn. Right now, they don't really care about you guys. I hate to tell you, they don't. They care whatever Ken Griffin says, whatever Marian Adelson says. They care about others I'm not going to mention, the Bill Ackmans. These people have given them billions of dollars over the years. They couldn't give two shits about you. Bibi Netanyahu. The money from Israel is being thrown. In case you guys haven't noticed, we need a FARA law for social media. You are trusting people, and I don't even blame you. But there are very few of us who are not paid to post anymore. People I respect. One of them has a huge podcast. He's great. He's taking the BB bucks now. It's like everyone in the industry knows it. You don't, though. And you at home, you trust them, and maybe you had every reason to trust them all of these years. But he just started taking those BB bucks, and his tone has dramatically changed. And you don't know that. That's not fair to you. That is not fair to you. You should know that. I don't understand how Republicans are losers. They're do-nothing losers who wasted half of the president's peak presidency on a shutdown and an attack on Iran. This is how idiotic these people are. And this is why we're getting our ass kicked, Rich. Help us. Help us. Look, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make a jackass drink. Too late now. I don't know what to tell you. It's never too late, but you want a silver bullet like this. They want me to wave a magic wand now. I can't. You need to listen, and you need to listen every day, and you need to react every day. Otherwise, get in the hole. I don't know what to tell you. Denny Wong. I have many simple solutions. Other people have had fantastic ideas. It's just they take too long. It's the entire point of the show. They need a war room. They take too long to react. And then when the worst hits, they're like, oh, now we're in a box, and now we need to do this, and now we need to. But it's like, if you would have just reacted at the right appropriate time, you wouldn't be in this situation. Worried about the Dems winning the House and impeaching Trump again. Oh, they're definitely going to impeach Trump. That's not there. Only Denny, I got news for you. You're going to have a front row seat to his entire administration being dismantled first. They're not doing it the way they did it.
They got smart.
They got smart. Kristi Noem is gone. She's gone. Even I would probably vote to impeach Kristi Noem. Yeah. I'm not kidding. You'll see. Can someone please tell him he needs to address the concern many have that his family benefited from a crypto grift, a concerned Trump voter? Denny, there's a lot of these. That's not the first time I've heard that either. I'm sent from somebody. There's a lot of and it's you don't want to, if you're the president, you don't want to get in a position where you're reacting to every single thing, but he's lost control over the narrative so badly that all of these little things pile up to reinforce that whole narrative. And I'm telling you, some of these administration officials, if he wants to clean that narrative up right there, they just got to go. I know what this problem is. If he gets rid of some of these people, it's like, well, who are you going to replace him with? Well, that with Pam Bondi, we've already solved and suggested. So that's not that. But starting to shit can a bunch of people that Democrats are going to target is going to be difficult. But Noem, man, I don't know what to say. She opened herself up. Oh, wow.
Sorry.
Shit. She did this to herself. All right. That's it. She did this to herself. If it was a Democrat and their secretary was doing this, I have to remain consistent, Oh,
yeah.
Again, I'm not, if you're a lawmaker, if you're a congressman, woman, or a senator, It's your job to just be a shield no matter what. It is. You never turn on your own. Never, ever, ever. But that's not my job.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean?
Your job is the people.
That's it. You know, like I can't tell you it's okay for one party to do it and it's not okay for another party to do it. That's just being, yeah.
What got us in this place?
Ultimately, I'm more concerned about answering to him than anybody else.
Mhm.
And I don't give a shit about the rest. Yeah, oh, can you mind if I save yours and go back? There's just a little more on locals and I'm trying to alternate.
Sorry, guys, I'm not there.
GOP always blames the party of the part of the party or platform that's actually popular or is a winner. Right. Owen, right. Like, you see what they're doing? They're preemptively blaming the only viable part of the party for what they did. If they weren't Israel first and cared more about Bibi and Israel than they did about their own people, the domestic agenda wouldn't have got sidelined. They imported them. It's not just the Democrats. They did it. Again, I brought them up by name not to pick on them. It's just true. Bill Ackman's been funding that shit for years. And Charlie, by the way, I never forget this, man. I think there's a clip of it because he went live after our conversation and he brought it up and he was like, I'm sick of this. They did this shit. And of course, not Charlie's not the cursing type, but they did this shit to us. And now they're whining and complaining. Like, you did it. And then he went on and he literally brought them up. Like, you have been supporting these causes for years. Now you need to have a mea culpa. It's on you. Like, you should be asking for forgiveness. It's a con, man. It's a con. I hate to say it, but most of the party's a con. Owen's right. They've been framing it that way for decades, but especially in this past decade. Right, this MAGA decade. Right, Owen, the Tea Party movement, and they were young, stupid, noobish, so they allowed themselves to be branded negatively, and it was a negative connotation after a while that came along with the Tea Party. But guess what? That would not have been able to even happen at that level if it wasn't for the rhinos like Mitch McConnell, who constantly leaked to Politico and the Washington Post to hurt people who came in on the Tea Party movement, a movement that was responsible for a more than 60-seat win. You think rhinos could have done that? Give me a break, man. Give me a break. Ooh, ladybug, probably trying to find refuge from the storm. They would never be able to win like that. They can't win without MAGA. They can't win. Pat Toomey, same thing as Dave McCormick. You think you had a snowball's chance in hell with Donald Trump? You didn't. And it didn't matter that Toomey won by a little bit more than Trump. Toomey wouldn't have got the voter out that Trump got out. Period. And if they did, they never would have voted for Pat Toomey unless Donald Trump was on the ballot. They could have voted for the Democrat. They're never going to learn. They just, first of all, I've come to the conclusion that they are too stupid to understand the Trump coalition. I don't think they have it in them. I don't think they're smart enough. Rich, I'm in a 50-50 precinct in a suburb of Austin, Texas, Cedar Park. I think you need to ask about this immigration stuff, especially ICE and the handling of deportations and what they think. I think you're going to be a little bit surprised about what the Republican voter in Austin would tell you. Okay. Also in Austin, I imagine cost of living is going to be huge. I imagine it is, but also accountability. Right now, if I show you guys, is it logged out? Let me see. Is this only this is likely Republican voters. Here is what I'm the poll that's about to be published. Here is the rank distribution for likely Republican voters nationwide, which will be somewhat obviously different, but the refund went through on my Discover card. Nice. For Christmas, I had to buy my son 2 Christmas gifts because of a delay on a gift. I was afraid it wouldn't come, so I bought him the other one. He got it anyway, but I was afraid, so I had to bring one back. All right, cost of living inflation. This is just Republican primary voters. Cost of living inflation, jobs, the economy, immigration, border security, crime and safety. Healthcare is number 5. I'm telling you, Republicans are concerned about healthcare. And the people who are making foreign policy, national security, number 6, which it is not nationally with all voters, especially even independents. But what the voter that's doing that is the voter that has trepidation over whether or not we're going to get involved in some other stupid conflict. Look what comes to number 7, corruption and accountability. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's some good ideas. There's 7 right there that I think you should start with, honestly. The rank distribution is done by the top 12 cited issues. So there are other things, but they don't go in a rank distribution if they don't make it in the top 12. All right. By the way, corruption and accountability, like what, 5 months ago, was nowhere near that until people started to realize we ain't getting shit on Epstein. Dan Bongino is fake as shit. It's not happening. The one thing you got to give them credit for, hands down, is the crime rate. I don't understand why the crime is so high. Actually, I do. That's not true. I do. It's another way of thinking about crime that we haven't thought of in a long time. All right. Trump 2.0 is turning into the same 1.0. If JD does care, then he needs to get off this train. I don't mind voting for a woman, but they always want to prove themselves. I can't wait for the impeachments. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be, I'm telling you, it's going to be bad. And, you know, Barnes and I are not the type who like just shut out and don't talk to Democrats. Both of us have been talking to several, and it's a good plan. It's a good plan. The Chungster, thanks for, and by the way, thank you everybody for the super chats and the tips. Laura's right. I don't say enough. Like, thank you for your super chat and your tips. She's right. He says, or she, the Chungster, you know, Bondi needs to go. Ed Martin for 210 days. Then someone like Schmidt. Thank you. Thank you. That is exactly what we told. Thank you. Rubio has too much power as both NSA and sex state. Yep. Bring Michael Lanton at NSA. Oh, God, Michael Lanton was amazing in Trump 1.0. And look what happened. They targeted him. And he was taken out by Republicans. Susie will never give up her spot. Honestly, Susie doesn't really have to give up her spot. She's just, I don't know who could do it. Like, have been told, like, of Russ Voigt, but Russ Voigt would be 1,000 times better. I have heard, I don't know if Russ wants this or not, but it absolutely is an option. But I have been told by many people, like Susie, without her, and I saw with my own eyes, like, without her, the gatekeeping, though, has got to stop to a certain degree. And, like, I understand preventing the leaks. I get it. But it's being used in other capacities as well. Right. And also, she's friends with Bondi. So, you know, Cash needs to go. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know who would do it. I honestly think it's not Cash's fault either. I'm just saying, the Trunkster. I just think that the whole damn FBI is corrupt and it has to go. That's it. It's not reformable. And I don't think it was fair to, like, expect 2 people to reform it. Now Dan's off the reservation, so I don't give a shit about people who attack him for not coming through. He brought it upon himself. He deserves it. But I always thought it was unfair to expect Cash and Dan to, like, fix something that was so broken. To be honest, at this point, our best bet is Trump stepping down after the midterms and JD correcting course. Ooh. Yeah, the only problem with that is, Laura, is then that puts JD in a bad spot. Like, if he can't course correct because it's too off the rails, then he can't run for president.
That's not fair because it doesn't.
It's not fair. Yeah.
It's not a fair thing.
Yeah.
For JD.
Yeah. The better thing, Chunkster, maybe would be if he was like, I twisted my ankle. I can't serve as VP anymore. I don't know, man.
Looking like
he's doing it. Look, though, according to the numbers, no matter what you see on social media, though, according to the numbers, he's doing a phenomenal job. You know,
he's doing great. But
it's just tough to be him. It's tough to be.
First of all, people have to remember he is the vice president.
He's the vice president.
Yeah, the president. And there are certain things you just can't do as vice president, and that's that. And
Yeah, I agree. And by the way, ideas, I just see you as the last comment here. I just want to say, like, by the way, I love having a ride along while Rich road rages. Thank you so much. I find them fun. Oh, they're a blast, and I wish I had more time in between them to do it. Yeah. Ryan says, so disappointed. And Chunkster, that was a great comment. Ryan says, so disappointed on Minnesota has been fumbled by Trump and the DOJ. We have the lieutenant governor and 4 other administration officials and 2 Tim Walz campaign staffers as admin on a signal chat coordinating attacks on ICE. This is open sedition. Exactly. I do know stuff going on behind the scenes. I do know that. But again, let me just add to that. Republicans did not do what was necessary in the first year to make the judiciary fear them and to make the judiciary fair again. They were too busy helping Benjamin Netanyahu. They were too busy kissing Bibi's ass. All right. So now the administration is super handicapped. Where's your key? Oh no. No, you can't have my key. No, honey. No, we talked about this. We had a pact.
No, we don't.
Go look under the seats in the car. Go look under the seats in the car. You're looking for your little black Coach patchy thing?
I'm looking for my whole entire Coach bag.
Where's the black but the keys are in the pouch? Mm-hmm. Honey, this is not fair. We talked about
where's
this.
My bag? We took it in last night. Where'd it go?
Where are you going? To get the girl?
Uh-huh. And the son.
Okay. All right. Check this out. I'm gonna give you this. Do me a favor though. Can you get the other pants? You're gonna swing by because you're going to the grocery store, right? What time is it? How much time do you have? Can we just take the little booger if I stop right now? Can we just go? Because I know I'm gonna have to stop anyway in a second. Give me 2 seconds. I don't want to give her the key.
I heard you.
We have our own key fobs. The last one just magically disappeared. Thank God I didn't get charged for it. And Ryan is right. I know. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I mean, and then you have Harmeet go out there and like, oh, for people who don't think, like Dave Fry was right. Now Harmeet just touted how it is easy to arrest someone after a few days and build a case. Okay, so now you're giving people the understanding that you could go and build a case again that quickly. So why can't you do it against these people too? 100%. I mean, it is. I mean, if this was, the Democrats would be done very, very quickly. Polewai. I wish I knew how to say that. Trump is too weak. He doesn't know what's waiting for him after he loses 26 and 28. The refusal to go after the left will destroy the nation. Act now. He's, I mean, if he doesn't realize how much grave danger he's in, I'm not just talking politically. If he doesn't realize that, then you know what? It is what it is. You know, I mean, he is in terror. Like his team effed him bad. They did. They exposed him so badly. Trump's statement about non-talented Americans and saying only the criminals and no deportations even got my Fox News watching mother to say I'm out. Yeah. I forgot about that. I wonder what we need plot bands on that chart so we could be like, here's where this, here's where that happened, here's where that happened, here's where that happened. We could even do it on like against the Real Clear Politics data, and I guarantee you're going to see it. Like you're going to see impacts because they did. I know the H1B visa thing. We hear it all the time. We hear it all the time. We hear every poll. We hear somebody say, Trump told me he doesn't need my support. You know, did you find it?
I think I put it in.
You want a workout bag? Yeah. Here. And then I'll rip all this up in a second. You can go. Did you go and check on my nightstand? Yeah. Hala. You sure it's in there?
Yeah. I'm positive.
Can you just double check in here to make sure it's in there?
Oh my gosh, she's so annoying, guys.
All right. I think that's it, though. I think I got through the comments. So with that, I can say, Yeah. All right, guys. Sweet. I don't know when one of the odds is coming back. Robert and I were discussing that today, but I'll let you know as soon as it does. Wednesday, obviously, is next. Inside the numbers, and then we'll do between a couple of times this week because there's a lot of polling coming out. I'm gonna go. Oh yeah, we'll do road rage tomorrow. Yeah, and probably Thursday too. Friday, I don't know if we're having a show actually Friday because one competition for my daughter I wanted to go to this year. One. and they told me that this was the easiest one or one of the
Yes,
easier ones.
Very easy.
Plus, she's very likely to win in one of the categories. I love ballet, so I want to see it. So I'm gonna go and we'll do a road rage or something, but I don't know about inside the numbers. All right, with that in mind, I'm gonna go and well, I gotta do the polls, so like crap. But I'm take a ride with you real quick. You just drop me back off, okay? All right, cool. And then I'll get the poll
The
out.
baby's
All
probably
right.
almost
Yeah, he's almost there. So let me go, guys, and I will talk to you in a little bit. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for their supporting. Laura just threw a little deuces out there. And again, please go check your donor dashboard. Make sure you're not reoccurring subscriptions where you or contributions when you don't want them or where you don't want them. All right. What else am I missing? That's it. If you
always
like
follow
this,
us,
yep,
People's Pundit.
follow everywhere. Don't forget my gram, People's Pundit, People's_Pundit on Instagram, right? Don't forget, it's brand new. It's only a couple hundred followers. Let's start building up the
build up
gram,
the
baby.
gram.
Well, Rich, put on some short videos. I will. I'm working on it. All right.
Needs to get me a new laptop.
Number love for you guys. Yeah, it's just her thing is cooked, man. All right, guys. Deuces. I can slow it down.